Welcome back, guys. Very interestingly, I was writing in this book, shout out to Earn Your Leisure, and it was talking about what would your perfect life look like, right? It took me a second to really come up with anything because I was like, I'm already living like a perfect life. But then it was asking more so about if money were no longer a worry for you. What would that financial freedom look like for you? Because everybody always goes, I would like to be rich. I would like to not have any debts. I would like to do X, Y, and Z. But then when you really get down to the crevice of if money did not matter, if you were financially free, that you could do whatever it was that you would like to do, what would you like to do? And that changes the way that people are going to look at their existence, right? You might now move away from I'm going to buy X, Y, and Z to how can I impact X, Y, and Z in order to make my life a fulfilled life. Because to buy or to go or to do doesn't necessarily fulfill you. Fulfillment comes from a level of achievement. And I began to just think, I was like, damn, what would I do? And it was clear. One, I would move to either South Africa or Japan, and I would make that my base. I would have 3 children who I can pour myself into, and they could be the beacons of all of my existence, all of the education, all of the different adventures and stories that I have. I can pour it into them, and then they can continue this education and this knowledge into the future. And I thought that's just brilliant, you know? But what it also made me then do is reflect on how important it is to travel, you know? Because as I've traveled for a while now, and traveling continually gives me different ways of looking at the world, because I was like, yeah, if I have these children, I'm going to make sure that when I settle down in Japan or Africa, I'm going to build a home that's sustainable. It's going to be an adobe home. Adobe is this clay that they used to use I used to build it when I used to live in Mexico, right? And the furniture is a part of the house. You know, you're going in, the walls are carved in just a way that you don't have to buy shelves because the house is the shelf. You see what I'm saying? Me having this knowledge, it just expanded my horizon on what is actually possible once I have that which I need. There's a saying amongst travelers, which is travel beauty. You know, it's like if you're living in a small town, you have your look. When you go away for 2 months, 6 months, a year traveling, and you come back, your hair is bigger, your style has changed, you get a tan, you just look like you've been a part of something. And there's this beauty that comes to us. And many people can see that because that's the physical, so everybody's gonna love that. But the mindset that you get when you leave is going to just take you levels above who you were before you left, you know? Starbucks was only made because a dude went to Italy and said, damn, this coffee culture is crazy. Let's take it to America. You gotta be able to factor all of that in, you know? If you do something and you're saying, hey, I would love to travel, but I don't know if I have the money for it. I don't know if I'm scared. I don't know if it's really worth it. Hey, fear is one thing, but fear is only in the present, because fear is an anxiety for what could happen in the future. You know what I'm saying? So instead of having fear, have excitement. Don't think about what's going to go wrong. Think about what could potentially go right. Because what I've seen is when I'm on a plane, right, and I'm flying to a new place, and I'm looking out the window, over the wing, and I'm getting ready to land, and all I can do is think about, I wonder what kind of adventures I'm gonna have in this next place. Because I don't know. I don't know the people, I don't know the language, I don't know the food, I don't know nothing. And I'm not thinking, what if these people hurt me? What if I lose everything? What if it's not fun? I ain't thinking about none of that, because my perception is always one of optimism. And so that way, the world is always going to reflect that optimism, and it's high level expectations everywhere I go. And because of this, my life is one where I actually challenge myself to think, what would a perfect life look like? Because sometimes I feel like I'm living it. So next time you're considering potentially traveling, potentially getting out of your bubble, potentially traveling and vacation ain't the same, but I'm not shitting on vacations. The next time that you think about traveling, don't think about what you're going to be losing, missing out on, potentially sacrificing. Think about what you could be gaining, expanding, and experiencing. Because that experience, that ROI on experience is so much greater than the little bit of dollars that you have. One, because inflation's happening, so whatever dollars you have is actually worth less than the dollars that you had when you first got those dollars. So you're actually wasting money by wasting time. But secondly, you never know what's going to happen. And I'll give you guys a brief little story before we get out of here. And this is just quick. Yesterday I was sitting in the hostel that I'm staying at, and I've been working there, working in my little co-working space. And this guy, he sits down across from me, and we begin chopping it up. And I was like, he was asking me about what I do. I started asking about what he does. And he was like, oh, I work for HostelWorld. So HostelWorld is like working for booking, I suppose. But he's a part of the people that travel around and critique the hostels, right? And so I was like, yo, you know how long I've been living in hostels? I know these. So we start just laughing and talking about different hostels in Vietnam, hostels in Colombia, hostels in India. We going tit for tat for hostels. And he's like, damn, you really know your stuff. And I'm like, yo, I've been around the block. And so he was like, hey, here's my card. Reach out to us if you're actually interested in becoming an affiliate, yada, yada. But why that's interesting is because literally 3 days ago, I was researching different companies that do tours where they take people around and show them what traveling is for people who have never traveled before. So how serendipitous is it that I just happen to run into somebody that does exactly what it is that I want to do and is in a position who can potentially help me do exactly what it is that I want to do if I decide to do it. But you're never going to get that staying inside your bubble, because your bubble only keeps things out. You're never going to get that inside of your town, because your town only has people from your town, and you likely know most of them. Hey guys, get that traveler's glow. I'm sexy, but I know I'm only sexy because of the life I live. So yo, hit the road, hit me, call me if you get lost. You guys know how I move. After I close this camera, I'm about to go explore this city. I'm in Granada, España. And I'm about to enjoy my day before I head off to Portugal. Much love, adios, and as I always say, I do it for you so you don't have to.